Right, so a couple of weeks ago I put out a community post asking for your murder drones headcanons for a video, not telling you what it was going to be. And in yet another example of people on the internet being far too enthusiastic to share weird things that go on in their heads, I received over 250 responses to that post. One thing I did end up noticing while looking through all of these headcanons though, is that a lot of you are just making things up that can't possibly have happened due to other events in the show. So today, I am taking 30 of the most liked comments on that post and taking a look at whether they are cash and could actually happen in the universe, or if they are trash and make no sense given what we've seen. The rules for this are as follows. I have to take the whole comment and either split it into individual headcanons or consider each aspect mentioned in one whole headcanon. Then I will compare it to the events of the 8 episodes we see in the show. I will not be referencing any interviews with Liam Vickers, the cast, or glitch that have not been made apparent in the show itself. For example, Liam says in this interview that the drones stole their hair. We see Khan take his mustache off in the show, so the drones having stolen hair will be considered. In these shots from the same video, however, we see early models of what the drones could have looked like with air tanks in their backs. This is never seen in the show, so we cannot conclude that the drones need specialized air to survive. All clear? No? Fantastic. Let's get into it. Jay uses the company as a coping mechanism. What I assume you're trying to imply here is that Jay has always known that the company didn't exist in the modern year and kept up the facade of this as a way to cope with the fact that she aligned herself with sin. We never do get a concrete explanation for what she was saying in the pilot, even though they do talk about it in episode 2, so catch. Uzi was told about her mum's death during a kindergarten class. It's obvious that Uzi was never old enough to remember her mum, so she must have been in the early stages of drone life. The rest of the headcanon I'm not sure about though. The drones don't react much, if at all, to death, so I don't think she'd be crying here, and there's absolutely no way the teacher would agree to supervise a bunch of toddlers. Some of it is fine, but most of it, trash. N's X mode messes with his personality. This is true, but not for the reason you say it is. We see in episode 5 that the X only appears when the worker drone OS system is shut down. In the case of the mana drones, this means that they just have no operating system available and thus can't operate. With N and the other murder drones though, it leaves only their murder drones code made by the solver. The X doesn't interfere with his personality, it shuts it down, albeit temporarily. Trash. N misses the original uncorrupted version of Sin before she was sent to be disassembled. All 4 drones that Tessa carries a close relationship with, N, VJ, and Sin, originate from the dumpster. They all have these marked for disassembly bands on them, and Louisa calls them Tessa's dumpster pets. This implies that both N and Sin were first found by Tessa in the dumpster and then repurposed by her. Unless they were at the same place prior to being dumped, N has never known an uncorrupted version of Sin. Trash. The hair on the disassembly and solver drones is real. You may be thinking that I'm going to call this trash straight away because I've already said that the hair is fake. But the argument here is all drones were originally completely mechanical, but we have seen biological organs appear once under the influence of the solver. If that is the case, then why not allow the hair that they have stolen to grow through the drones' heads? I appreciate some sound in-universe logic here, so I'm saying this is cash. Uzi listens to metal and N listens to cheery pop music. Uzi canonically listens to nightcore, just like her mum. Some of that may be metal-based, but that's not her main genre. Trash. N listening to happy pop, however, does make a lot of sense for his character. Also, I am now stuck envisioning him doing the soda pop dance. Cash. N forces Uzi to watch Bluey with him, and she actually really likes the show. We are 1,000 years into the future in this series, so the chances of Bluey still being both findable and watchable in this year are extremely low. Trash. But if it were found, I would have no doubt that they would like it because it's physically impossible to dislike this show. Uzi's beanie used to belong to Nori. Prior to the core collapse on Copper 9, all drones were forced to either wear work uniforms or these hospital gowns by the humans. Neither outfit included a beanie. We also never see Nori in one or around anyone that would have one for her to take after an untimely demise. Uzi's emo-ness is hers and hers alone. Trash. All the disassembly drones require worker oil to live, so it is donated to them. Except for Jay. Jay is definitely struggling to find oil post-episode 8 and may end up dying from a lack of it. N and V, however, are likely getting theirs from the colony though, so that is at least partially correct. However, I don't think this is a blood donation type system. We see Uzi drinking oil straight out of cans on several occasions, and the oil she needs is shown to be the same oil as the disassembly drones. That being said, if that was the case, why would Doll go through all the trouble of killing and eating worker drones if she had a plentiful supply in the colony? This is an example of a murder drone's plot hole catch-22, so I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Cash. Jay killed Tessa. This depends on your definition of killed. If you take it as actually doing the stabbing, I think I would give the credit to the solver itself, though that can't be confirmed or denied. If, however, you see the act of Jay shutting the door on Tessa, sealing her in and guaranteeing her death as some form of killing her, then she is definitely guilty. One yes and one inconclusive means that this headcanon is Cash. N has the highest kill count out of all the disassembly drones. If we are going strictly off what is seen in the show, then I think that is correct. However, looking at the percentage of the corpse spire he killed will likely tell a different story. For all of her flaws, Jay is very likely to be reasonably fair in regards to the understanding of who is the biggest contributor to their goal, and wouldn't be so harsh on N if he did indeed have a higher kill count than her or V. Pilot V is also an absolute fucking psychopath, so she would definitely have the highest kill count. Trash. Uzi has to put up with both Sin and Dole living inside of her head. The way that Sin ends up as a part of Uzi is through her swallowing the core, or I suppose the black hole at this point, there once was a core. How far back then does this chain go, as Sin can be seen here eating Dole's core herself. Assuming Dole's consciousness wasn't instantly destroyed upon her assimilation, it is perfectly possible that by swallowing Sin's core and all of its information, Dole could also be transferred into Uzi, which would make some very awkward interactions with V. Cash. Post-canon Jay is either dead, dying, or insane. As we've discussed earlier, Jay will likely be without a long-term sustainable oil source now that the colony is being guarded by these three. We don't yet have any evidence of a drone going fully insane like something out of Digital Circus, but they definitely do possess emotions, and having to deal with an AI that wants to kill everything wearing your closest friend as a skin suit would definitely push me over the edge. Cash. They have electronic drawing pens to draw on their visors. The drone visors appear to be LED or something similar and are completely customizable by the drones themselves. That being said, the technology required to pick up a digital pen is completely different, and something that I doubt would have been installed by the humans because, well, what's the point? Rather, if Uzi wants to draw on N's face, she would just use a dry erase marker. Trash. Everyone in Dole's family was a Tetris champion at some point. AI is naturally very good at Tetris once it has been trained for it, because it is a completely logical game. That being said, the way that AI often works is that machines trained in a certain task for a longer period of time with proper guidelines will improve more. If Dole and her family spend a lot of time practicing Tetris, as we see Yiva do here, it is only natural that they will be better than other drones. Cash. The Sentinel with Nori was Sparky. For those unaware, Sparky is the name of the Sentinel V tamed and rode into battle with during episode 8. By showing the fact that it has been friendly to drones before, they are trying to justify that Sparky will do it again. This is not entirely correct. The Sentinels target all drones that don't have access to the Solver abilities. This is why it flashes at N and V, but never Uzi or Dole. In the same way, it knows not to go after Nori. That being said, we never see any evidence of the fact that the Sentinels were destroyed, so the same ones that were present then are still present now. The logic is trash, but the headcanon itself, still cash. Sin breakdances after traumatizing someone. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I just put this in here because I thought it was funny. Fanfiction is seen like ancient Texan Greek mythology to the drones. This one you disprove yourself by stating that Tessa writes fanfiction. You cannot have it both ways. Trash. Tessa never died and was instead kept barely alive or absorbed into Sin. This is some Five Nights at Freddy's creepy ass shit that I don't want to think about for too long. That being said, human minds cannot be downloaded like that. If they were, there would definitely be backups of all of these idiots on drones somewhere, and there is no way she could still be alive in this form. That flesh is rotting. Trash. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is on Copper 9. I'm not joking when I say that these were right next to each other. Get out of here, this is a Murder Drones video. Vizzy is canon. This is my own personal headcanon, so I just wanted to include it here. Absolute cash, we love the lesbians around here. Wait. Dogs are gods in the Murder Drones universe. We get confirmation in episode 4 that all dogs are immortal within this universe. There are several definitions of the word god, but the loosest one implies that a god is an individual with power over nature or human fortunes. I would definitely class immortality as a power over nature, so in that sense, dogs are gods. Cash. Tessa is still alive, but in a comatose state. The skin is a very important organ when it comes to keeping the body alive. It prevents diseases and bacteria from entering, stops fluids and bloods from escaping, and helps to regulate and control a bunch of things. That said though, with 1,000 years of innovation, it may be possible to design a capsule or covering such that it mimics skin well enough to let her survive. None of this matters of course because the Earth got blown up. Trash. Murder Drones is a sequel to Indonesian Cube. It is only upon reflection that you realise that Icon and Sin had a remarkable number of similarities with their primary goals. Both contain a black hole-like core that stores all of the mass they assimilate and controls the rest of their body and abilities. That being said, the cube perceives itself to be a perfect entity, so it would never willingly undergo any type of change into another form. This is discounting the absolute mountain of other things that make this impossible, but I'm just working off the link here. Trash. Brayden is zesty. We never see him with a girl drone, that's all I'm saying. The worker drones act like hormonal teenagers after discovering the internet and copying it. Ironically, this is not just a headcanon, but a canon. Drone society evolved off of copying human society, so references to hormones and testosterone, which they definitely don't have, could be a part of that. A prime example of this is the school system. The drones can download any information they want at any time. This setting is entirely unnecessary, but they use it anyway because it's what humans used to do. Catch. And finally, oh god. Jay's top tier mummy waifu comfort material. Get a hold of yourself.